Okay, once again, good evening. So here we will have a code for DHT sensor, that is a temperature sensor, and the humidity also it will measure. So these two data that we are going to update into a cloud called Firebase. Okay, so the advanced feature with Firebase is that we will be looking the database directly, and also we will be allowed to host our website also for some extent, and easily we can able to communicate with the free app service providers. Okay, for example, MIT app service, if you are looking into connect with your real-time database, then Firebase is the best choice. So with that, we will be most probably for real-time database communications, we will be using this particular Firebase cloud. So that's an important feature available here. Very first, as usual, if you are using an ESP8266 board, then you have to include this particular library, ESP8266 Wi-Fi.h. And second one is Firebase Arduino.h. Because we are going to communicate with the Firebase cloud, so the keyword relevant to the Firebase communication will be used here. Okay, so we can refer those Firebase relevant keywords and functions defined in this particular library. And next one is a DHT library. Since we are using a DH11 temperature and humidity sensor, we can use this library. Okay, so as I said before, we have a very variety of DHT sensor libraries like DHT, DHT ESP, small DHT, capital DHT. Likewise, many kind of libraries are available. So you please be very careful by what library that you are looking into and you are using into the code, because each and every library will have a different functions. Okay, so only with the function calling it will be different. So you don't think that all the DHTs are same and you have to use the same function for everything. Okay, it is not so. So each and every designer will be having their own kind of function calling and parameter passing and everything. Okay, so you have to be very careful. So if you want to see how exactly this particular library will work, in the sense they have given us samples. Okay, once if you include these libraries, you can go into the examples file, then go into the examples, and you can see at the bottom, right? So the examples which you are manually installing will be at the bottom. So examples from the custom library, it will be the title, and under which you can see the DHT sensor library. And they will be using it for two different applications. One is for just how to test your library, that is how to test your DHT sensor, and another one is for uploading the sensor data into the cloud. Likewise, they have given a sample program for each and every library that you are manually importing. Okay, so here also we are having that library, and if you are including that, we can get a format how to upload the data from this particular library to the cloud. Okay, and next one is a Firebase host and a Firebase authentication key. So this is as similar to that of your Adafruit cloud username and a password. Okay, as like Adafruit, here also we have a host ID and a authentication password. So here we don't have any username commonly. In Adafruit account, we have the common username for all the applications. Even if you create a five dashboard applications or 5 different projects, the username would be common. But here, each and every project that you are going to create in the Firebase account will have a unique host ID. Okay, sorry, unique authentication ID. Your host ID will be the URL that would be common. Okay, so URL will be common, and it will be differ only with the 3 to 4 digits at the front side. Okay, so only in that place we will be having a difference. So you have to copy the entire link from your Firebase account. That is very much suggested. Okay, so these two are varying for each and every program that you are going to create, each and every project that we are going to create. So these two things we have to get it from the Firebase account, that we will see later. And next one is as usual your Wi-Fi connectivity. Okay, so you are going to provide an internet connectivity for your controller via Wi-Fi, in the sense then we have to use a Wi-Fi username and a password. Okay, so this will give you just an internet connection alone. So live with, here in my case, I'm using my hotspot as Wi-Fi network. So I'm using my hotspot name as well as the password. Okay. So with this, I'll be getting a internet connectivity for my controller. I'm not going to get communication between my cloud. So for getting the communication between the cloud, I need these two credentials. Okay, host ID and then authentication keyword. And next one, I'm going to declare some pin for connecting my DHT11 sensor. So D4 is my pin, GPIO pin. In board representation, it is G4 I have mentioned. So throughout my coding, if I'm using DHT pin, then that will represent this particular pin D4. And next one is a DHT type. So DHT will be coming in varieties like DHT 11, 12, 44 likewise. So if you want to use one particular DHT sensor, then you have to mention their name. So with that, we can able to configure our sensor type. Okay. So for that, you have to use the keyword capital DH as that of this particular header file. And I'm going to create another one object variable that is small DHT. So in the rest of the programming, if I'm using small DHT in the sense, it will represents the DHT pin number 4 connected with the DHT11 type of sensor. Okay, so accordingly, this function will create an object variable. Okay, so that's a function. Each and every time there is no need to specify your pin name and your type of the sensor. Okay, if you are not declaring this object variable, then everywhere in the program you have to represent the pin name and the data type, the DHT sensor type. Okay, so to avoid that only, we are going to create this DHT object variable. And next one, the baud rate. By default, it will be 9,600, but I would suggest 1,15,200 for this node MCU. That would be better baud rate. And here, if you want, you can add a delay, but it is not that much important as of now. So next one, Wi-Fi that we are going to communicate with. So I'm just calling a function Wi-Fi begin with my user ID and a password, so that it will be creating my data. Okay, sorry, creating my communication via internet communication between my user Wi-Fi network onto the node MCU device. And next one, and the serial monitor, I'm just printing like it is going to be connected to the one particular network. And in the serial monitor, I'm going to say which network it is going to be connected. And if the connection was not established, I will be just printing a dot symbol for every half a second. If the connection is successfully established, I'll come out and I'll print like a connect to the with this particular connected to this particular cloud, this particular Wi-Fi network, and the IP address used for this particular cloud will be received from this Wi-Fi dot local IP function. Okay, so this is the inbuilt function. Automatically, it will assign one particular IP address for my device, and this is the important line. If you are going to update some data in your Firebase, then you have to call your Firebase account. Okay, so for that we have a function called firebase.begin with a host ID and a Firebase authentication key. We will be passing as a parameter so that it will link our Wi-Fi account data to the cloud data. Okay, so whatever the data that we are sending from our Node MCU device will be there in the Wi-Fi router. From the Wi-Fi router to the cloud communication will be done with the help of this particular function. So here they have defined with some MQTT communications between your cloud and to the Wi-Fi router. Okay, so that is your communication protocol, and connectivity protocol is the just your Wi-Fi. So this is your connectivity protocol. And next one, we have to start our DHT to be function. So for that, we are calling the function called a DHT begin. Okay, in some DHT libraries, this function will automatically called. So, but in the case of capital DHT.h, we have to call it explicitly. Okay, so next one, the loop coding. So here we have defined two variables, one for temperature and other one for humidity, and these two are in a float data type. So h is the variable that I'm going to create, and next one, dht.read humidity. So if I'm calling this particular function with the object variable dht, then it will communicate the data via the D4 pin by using DHT11 type of sensor, and the humidity parameter alone will be stored in the h variable. And next one, dht.read temperature. This function will store the temperature value into the t variable. Okay, So even though the output pin for my DHT11 was a single one, with the voltage variation, I'm going to do some manual calculations. So for all, by using that manual calculation, I will be converting my value as a humidity as well as the temperature. So for doing that manipulation only, we are calling this particular function. Okay. So this function will be explained in this dht.h library itself. So it's a critical calculation. So that's why we are skipping. So like in Python, we are importing some packages, right? So likewise, we are importing our library. And next one, in some occasions, during some occasions, due to the connectivity problem, your sensor may not give you a right data. So it will give you some irrelevant data like infinite data or not connected. Likewise, so many problems will come. So if suppose any failure in reading your sensor data occurs, then we have to just return back to our original line, and we have to look for the sensor's input. Okay. If not, what will happen, this will send some string to our cloud. Okay. So fortunately, we are defining the data type as float, and we will be sending the same kind of data to the cloud also. In cloud, if you are going for some futuristic analysis based on our received data, for example, if you are going to predict a weather for future, in the sense we have to take our past data, and that past data we will be going applying into some algorithms. So during the application of some algorithm, we need to have a similar kind of database, either integer or float kind of database. In some conditions, if you are getting some string kind of datas, then while taking that average or summing the values, it will make a problem. Okay. We won't get any right result. So we have to go for data cleaning and all. So in order to avoid that kind of errors, for the futuristic purpose, here itself we will clean our data. Okay. So only the correct format of data type will be sent to our cloud, and the rest of the data will be stopped here itself. This is otherwise known as an edge computing, we can say, or otherwise edge IoT we will be calling it as. Okay. So the required data cleaning will be done at the end of the IoT node itself. Okay. So that is what done here. So we are checking whether it is not equal to a number. Okay. Is nan in the sense, if it is not number or not, we will be checking. So here we are checking both. So checking for humidity and checking for temperature. If either of the case, if it is not equal to a number, then we have to simply return back to our original loop lining. That is, again, we have to go for reading these two lines, read humidity and read temperature, by skipping all the rest of the lines. So that's why we have added a line called a return. And next one, serial.print humidity. Okay. So we are just read our temperature and humidity now, and it is a perfect number. It is not going to be any string, or it is everything is okay, we feel. So we are going to print our temperature data. If suppose it is failing, we have to update in the serial monitor that it is failed to read from the DHT sensor. If I'm removing the DHT sensor from my breadboard, then automatically this line will be printed. And next one, if I'm getting a successful reading, and if I want to display the data, I have to use a serial.println command. So I'm printing like a humidity, and I'm just printing my uh, uh, humidity value. Okay. Serial.print h. And next one, for sending into the cloud, I need to format my input as a string one. Okay. So always string is best kind of format to update into our cloud. So I'm converting everything is a string now. So fire humidity will be the variable used to send to my cloud. Okay. So to this variable, I'm just adding my humidity value. Okay. So humidity value in float format. So I'm going for type conversion. So string of h, in the sense it will be converted into a string value. Float value will be converted into string format, and it will be stored into the Firebase humidity. And also I'm just attaching one percentage symbol, since humidity is a percentage calculation. So I'm just adding a percentage symbol. Even if you are not adding this percentage symbol here, we can add it at the cloud side also. It is applicable there. But for doing some calculations, in the sense you should avoid this particular addition, okay? Because while adding the percentage, it will consider that also as a number, and while doing some arithmetic operation, you will get a problem. So if you are not going to do any arithmetic operation in the sense, then you can add anything like a string format. And next one, reading the humidity. And for myself, to see what is the humidity is, I'm just using my serial monitor to print it as type percentage of temperature. And I'm in serial monitor, I'm printing my temperature along with the degree Celsius format, okay? And similarly, I'm for updating into the cloud, I'm using the string fire temperature keyword. And in this, I'm appending two values. One is my string of temperature, that is, again, I'm going to convert type convert my float variable into a string. So t was in float format, so I'm going to convert it as string now, okay? And in addition, I'm going to add as degree Celsius command, okay? And next one, delay. So for a Firebase account, it will accept 15 datas per minute, so I'm just adding a 4 second delay, okay? And next one is Firebase push string. So this is the keyword which will be taking our Firebase data into the cloud, okay? So actually the delay has to be given at the last, because after pushing our data, we have to wait for some time. Then only the data will be updated in a data, and then we have to wait for some time. That's why I'm added a delay here. And here is this particular function will call our predefined function in the Firebase .h library. So this job of this particular function is that it will look into this particular path, okay? So in Firebase real-time database, we will be having a path for storing our values, that is datas. So this is exactly our database. So in the database, we will be having some feeds in our Adafruit cloud. Likewise, here also we have a variable name, and the location also we can specify, okay? If you want to update directly, then you can just remove DHT, and we can simply mention it as humidity and temperature. If suppose if suppose you use a more number of data that is to be updated in the same cloud, then we can say it is from DHT, it is from my office, it is from my home. Likewise, I can able to segregate by using that slash command, okay? So that is how also we can able to update. And next one is my fire humidity. So for humidity variable, I'm updating the data from fire humidity. So fire humidity is somewhere here, so that I'm going to update. And next one, Firebase push string. So next one is my temperature, and in the temperature, I'm just storing my fire temperature, okay? So that's it. The code is over. So here I'm not going to explicitly call my MQTT communication and all, since it was already inbuilt inside this particular Firebase Arduino.h. It is not mandatory to call that function again and again, okay? So MQTT communication and everything will be taken care explicitly, so you don't need to define those lines here, okay? So up to this, the program is over. This is just an sensor updation into the cloud, okay? We are taking some sensor data that will be updated into the cloud. So now you have to go to your Firebase account. In Google, you type like a Firebase. Sometimes ads will come. You leave that and you go to this link, firebase.google.com. Okay. So you click onto this link, and then if you are new to Firebase, you have to create an account. I already told you. So after creating that account, you can click here in the sign in button. and you will be asked for your email credentials. So I have my account. Okay, so after logging into your account, again the same page will be displayed. Now you have to go to the console board here. Okay, top right corner you can see there is a go to console. Click here. And then whenever you are doing a new project, you click on to this add project. Okay, there is a plus symbol here. You click on to this add project. So here you can enter your project name. Okay, so here hyphens will be allowed, hyphens underscores will be allowed, don't leave any space. Okay, so I can type like basics PHP 11. So this is my project name. If suppose you are giving a simple title, in the sense it will add some number. For example, base itself I'm adding, in the sense by default it will add some numbers along with it. Okay, so that's the reason why you have to give some um, digits, numerical digits, as well as some characters. Along with that, if you give, it will take as such. Okay, so you can give like this, and you click on to the continue, and it will be saying if you want to enable your Google Analytics for this project, then you click on here likewise. So always it will be enabled. Okay, if you click on to the recommended option, then these things you can able to use it in future. Okay, unlimited reporting, cache-free user, A/B testing kind of futuristic applications you can able to use, but we are not going to consider it now. Click on continue, and you have to select one particular account for updating your data. So if you want to create a new account for your analytics, you can click create here. If you don't want, and if you use the existing account, you can click onto the default account for Firebase. So whatever the email account that I'm associated with, the same account, the data will be updated. Okay, so I have to click a default account for Firebase. This is for analytic purpose in future. Okay, so automatically it will create a new property in this account. Okay, so if you want to create a manual property, in the sense you can click edit here and you can change the property. But the easiest thing is you can create the properties by automatically. Then every time when you reset your device, automatically it will create. Otherwise you have to come and create every time. Okay, so in order to avoid that problem, we can just leave as such and click on create project now. And if you want to edit also, there is a previous button in the left hand side that you can click and you can change any things which you wish to change. And it will take a few minutes to create your project. So once if your project is ready, it will tell you your new project is ready. Okay, the name of the project is phase 6 DHT 11, and you have to click continue. Once if you click continue, directly it will take you into this project. Okay, whatever the project that you have created. And even if you wish to see your old project, that you can click it here. Okay, so if you click on here, you can see the old projects also. So you can jump into any project from here. Okay, in any point of time you can jump into any projects here. Okay, and next one, your database. So as I said before, your Firebase also allows you to host your website. So if you want to host your website freely, you can use this option, hostings, and functions also there, machine learning. It is having a very vast future. So to discuss this future itself, it will take one or two classes. So I'm just taking my real-time database alone. So for that, most probably I'm using this real-time database account. Okay, so you have to click on to this real-time database. This will be available for both free as well as paid version. Okay, if you are creating one database per project, in the sense it will be free. If you are adding more database for per project, then it would be chargeable. Okay, and they'll be asking your credit card or debit card details. So during that situation, you please skip that particular project. Okay, my suggestion, you don't provide any card details and all for creating this database. You have to create by free account only. Okay, so because we don't know how many data that we are going to send, so it may lose your money. So click onto this real-time database, and you can see there is a create database option here. And even if you wish to see how this database is working, and how your database will be created, everything it will be demonstrated here. So they will be giving you a free demo, and here the functions, how you have to use for updating the data, and the storage and the hostings for this particular project will be available, and even more features also you can see. So by clicking this, all these feature you can get it for this particular project. So our intention is just creating one database to update our temperature data. So just this particular option is more than sufficient. So you click create database, and here you can find two modes. Okay, one will be in start in locked mode, and another one is start in test mode. Okay, so for example, if you are associated with one particular account, and if your data want to be restricted for third party applications, then you can start in locked mode. Okay, so in start in locked mode, your rules will be something like this: your reading option will be false, and your writing option will be false. So all third party read and write options will be denied. It means that you cannot able to communicate by the unauthorized apps, and also unauthorized controllers. So that will restrict it. Okay, so this is for futuristic purpose. So after doing many projects, and if you after creating your own database, sorry, your own app kind of things, then you can uh, proceed with this particular mode. But as far as of now, we are in the learning stage, so we have to use all the third party applications, whichever is possible. Okay, so for that, you can click onto this start in test mode. Okay, so the test mode allows all the data to be read and write. So whomever is knowing this particular database URL and the host ID can easily read as well as write those data into this particular cloud. Okay, and they will be given with some true conditions in the earlier stage, but nowadays this was restricted. So one sorry 3 to 4 months before, if when I was using this particular Firebase account, I was allowed to store all my data more than years also, more than an year. But nowadays they will be restricting to 30 days. Okay, so anyone with your database reference will be able to view, edit, and delete all the data in your database for 38 days only. Okay, after 30 days the previous data will be overwritten. So this restriction was added newly. So previously, it will be something like a read dot true and a write colon true. It means it will accept all the reading operation and all the writing operations infinite duration of time. Until I'm deleting this project, my data will be there. Until I'm closing my account, my data will be there. But now they have restricted more. Okay, so you can see the date. So currently it is 2010. So 11, 19th 11, by 11, my 19th 11, my data will be erased. So likewise, they have added an um, restriction. So that's a problem. So anyhow, it is not a big trouble for us, because 1 month time will be left to us to use our data. Okay, for this particular project. Even if I'm trying to load my data after 31st day, it will allow, no problem. But only the previous data won't exist. Okay. So always you go with this test mode. Okay, you click on to this start in test mode and click enable. So your real-time database is now it's ready. Okay, and by default it will show you one path called phase 60 ht11, with the null character. Even if you wish to create any number of rows, then you can simply click onto this plus button and you can insert the name of the variable and you can add a value in this. Okay, and still you can create many number of names and values also. Okay, so this is allowed. So right now we are not doing this. Next one, rules. If you want to change the rules which you have defined earlier, if you wish to change anything, then you click onto this rules tab, and here you can edit your rules. Okay, so here if you don't want to access the third party application, simply you can type here it as false. Means reading option will be uh, disabled. Okay, and if you click on here and if you type like a false for writing, then both reading as well as writing option will be disabled. Sometimes only we will update our data into the cloud, sometimes only we take control from our cloud, or during that situation either read or write operation alone required, and the other option we can make it as false, so we can restrict them. Okay, if you don't want to make any change, you can click on discard. Or if you want to make any change, uh, in the sense, you have to click on to this rule playground. Okay, you have to click. You have to click publish, so that the updated the read and write operation will be updated. Okay, and rules playground will give you to which path that particular data will be added. So as I told before in the coding. So here we got something like a slash DHT11 slash then humidity. So this particular path that we can add it here. So if I'm adding it to the DHT11 path in the sense, then I have to type here it as DHT11, and to this particular URL it will be updated. Okay, so and I have to click on run. If simply I wish to add to the root library, then there is no need to add anything here, and here also you can delete this, and simply you can have a humidity. This will add it to the root root location. Okay, if you want to add any particular path, then you can define it here and click on run. Okay, so as of now I'm just adding to the root path, and also I'm not going to change any rules. That is, I will be allowed to read as well as write for any number of times until 1911. And the monitoring rules also there. Total number of allowed, total number of denies and errors, I can able to view it from here. Okay, after uploading my data, I can see whether any third parties were requested my data or not. Like I can able to visualize it here. Okay, and it will list out for 24 hours or 1 hour data, 7 days data, or last 30 days data. Okay, so for all last 30 days data, how many number of requests that I have received from my third party applications, how many are allowed, how many are denied, I can able to view it here. Okay, in date wise. And next one, uh, backups. Suppose if you wish to download your data before 30 days, and you can download it here. But as of now, since it is a free future, they will not allow you to download your data. So for this you have to uh, pay for the data. Okay, so and usage, you can see it here, how many number of connections that you have established with this particular database, and how much storage that you have used as of now, and how many times that you have downloaded in this month, and what is the percentage of loading, everything that you can see it as a graph here. And in case if you are going for an paid kind of application, you can see the billing data here. Okay, view the usage in billing and billings. So for data update, how much charge that they were offering to your data will be seen here. So these are all the details that you have to that you can see it in the real-time database. Okay, so we are in the project phase 6 DHT11, and now the important keyword here is you have to copy this particular URL. Okay, so you click here and copy this particular URL, and then you just go to your code and type your, paste your URL here in the host. And the most important thing is you have to remove this particular slash at the end, and at the front also you have to remove this double slash https colon and everything. Only the project name. So I told you, right? So some xxx parameter alone will be changing for each and every project. So this is what, okay? So this is nothing but my project name. Firebase.io.com is a common one, okay? So it will never vary since it is a Firebase account, so it will never vary. But the depending upon the project which I'm going to apply, which I'm going to access, this particular lines will vary. Okay, so for that only every time you have to copy paste your host from Firebase account. While copy pasting, you just leave this https colon double slash, and also at the end is the slash. So these two things you have to remove. Okay, next one, you can click on to this particular settings button. Okay, in the next to project overview, we have a settings button. You can click on to this particular button, and you can see there is a three option. Okay, building and user permissions are futuristic. As of now, you can go into the project settings. So you click project settings, and here your project name and your project ID number, default resource location, everything will be listed. And there is an web API key in case if you are using this particular database for any web applications, then you can use this key to include this data. And I'll be asking for some mail IDs to be included. I think it is in, yeah, it's here, it's here. So in the general itself, some public settings will be there. So if I want to associate my email ID into this supporting account, in the sense, I can click on here, this particular arrowhead, and I can select my email address. So that email ID will be associated with this particular database. So this is an important step. And even if you don't want this particular database in future, then you can simply click this, but delete this particular project, entire project. That is the phase 6 DHT11 project, that you can delete it from here. Okay, so that's another one. And next one, uh, service account. So here is the place where we will be getting our data. Okay, sorry, we are getting our key. So you click onto this service account and click on this database secret. So after clicking this database secret, you will be given with a secret key. Okay, so there is a database and there is a secret key. So you click here show, then your database key will be shown, and click onto this copy secret key so that your data will be copied. Okay, your secret key will be copied, and this is the key that we are going to use it here for authentication purpose. Okay, for this you have to save. So these two things you have to get it from your Firebase account. And even if you want to create more number of secret keys, then you can simply click add secret key, so that it will create n number of secret keys as you want. Because for different applications, I can able to use a different key. Even if I don't want to use a key, then I can revoke that particular key, or even I can hide a key. So here this one is a newly created key. If I don't want to show it to the third party, then I can simply hide, or I can revoke my key. So this feature is there. I have used VJ7. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. So the configuration is over. Now again, I am going into my real-time database. Okay, once. And here you have an downloading option. So even if the paid version only allows you to back up your code, but the current data you can download it from here, export as a JSON format, or the previous data if you wish to import into this particular database also it will allow. In JSON format you can import your previous data and you can continue from that particular point of time. And even if you wish to create additional database, it will allow, but with an additional charge. See, it will ask for you to pay as you go. Okay, if you are adding an additional database with the same project, then it will ask for you to pay. So that's my suggestion. Every time if you want to create a database, you create a new project and go with a single database. If you are adding more database to the single project in the sense, then it will be chargeable. Okay, so you don't do that. So if you are going here, definitely it will ask for credit card kind of details or debit card details. So you don't provide you anything here. So that's my suggestion. So you can download your data from export JSON, or if you want to import your data, it is allowed. But in Adafruit Cloud, importing is not allowed. Okay. So that's it. Here with this, I'll close today's session, and tomorrow we will see this data updation as well as the controlling application um, with the Firebase Cloud. Okay. Thank you so much. And many of you are contacted through email. If you wish, you can send a WhatsApp message also, so that I can immediately